Hey guys, it's Michelle at Cleland's. I just wanted to show you a couple things before we go live with Chad. Today I think you guys saw that we're going to be discussing ammo. You might notice behind me, let's see if I can do this, we have a little bit of a new floor layout. Over here, I'm gonna do my best. We have a table. This is some of the stuff left over from the tent sale. We have a lot of magazines, some holsters. Over here, let's switch it around. Since we're talking about ammo today, I wanted to show you guys that we have a lot of leftover ammo. Some 9mm for $10 a box. You might want to come check that out. Pretty good price. Lots of 38 and 45s left. So again, I'm gonna swing you over here. This is some of the stuff we have left from the tent sale. There we go. Lots of arrows, lots of magazines. Let's see if I can get you to, sorry, I'm fighting with the light on this. There we go. All right, good prices. Lots of ammo, stuff like that. Again, this is the new store layout. I just wanted to show everybody as I head back over to Chad, who is playing with one of the staff dogs right now. So, let's go grab Chad and start telling you guys. Who is this, Jason? This is Jason, one of our employees, our gun experts. And his dog. Who's the dog?
Lily.
And we're gonna follow Chad. Alrighty. Sorry, we're moving a lot here, guys. Archery Pro Shop is now back here with the gunsmith. Thanks, Chad. So, here we go. I'm going to put the light back on. All right. Hey, Chad.
Howdy. Basically, what we're going to talk today about is ammunition and cartridges. Throughout the years teaching different classes, I find that new shooters have a real hard time with understanding calibers and what's the best caliber for them. So we're going to start out with just some basics of how the ammunition works so you can get a feel for it. And we'll do this in several series so that everybody gets comfortable with it and learns a little bit more about it. What a caliber is generally it's a diameter measurement of the bullet or the bore of the rifle. Depending on where the cartridge originated, it will be measured in inches or in millimeters. For example, a 45 measures 0.45 of an inch, so they call it a 45. 9mm, the diameter is 9mm, so they call it a 9mm. Or a 22 is 0.22, or a 25 is 0.25, and that's how we get the cartridge caliber. Length also comes into play. For example, these two here, this one here is a 38 special, and this one over here is a 357. And if you look, the 357 is a touch longer. The case itself is actually a little bit longer. If you have a 38 special, you can only shoot 38 specials in it. But if your firearm is marked 357 Magnum, then you can put the shorter 38 special in it and shoot it also. There's another caliber which is called 32. There's a fairly newly manufactured firearm called a 327 Federal Magnum, and that's this one here. And it'll also shoot this 32 H&R Magnum, or this 32 Smith & Wesson Long, or this 32 Smith & Wesson. So it's very versatile. A lot of people will carry it with either the 327 or the 32, and then target shoot with the lighter 32 Smith & Wesson Long or 32 Smith & Wesson. So it's a very versatile gun. This is just a little baby to shoot, but when you stick these 327s in there, they really rock and roll. I mean, they have some good recoil, good stopping power. Another good example are 9mm and 380. These have the same bullet diameter. The 9mm is a lot of times called 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, or 9x19, and 19 is the case length measured in millimeters. The bullet diameter is 355 thousandths, the same as the 380. The 380 you can see is shorter, It's oftentimes called a 9mm short, 9mm Kurtz, 9mm Parabellum, Browning 9mm. There's a lot of different names for them, but it's a shorter cartridge, and they're not interchangeable by any means. What makes up a cartridge? We're going to start with a 357 here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 357 apart, hopefully, so that we can see what the makeup of the cartridge itself is.
So what exactly are you doing right now, Chad?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a kinetic bullet puller. It uses kinetic energy to remove the bullet and separate the bullet from the case. A little earlier I was doing this down here, and Michelle thought I was just taking out my frustrations, because we're going to beat the heck out of this vise over here.
So watch your ears. Here we go.
So what that did is disassembled the cartridge. And the parts of the cartridge, this here is called the case. And the case, I think, is probably the most important part because it holds it all together. The case is generally made out of brass, so a lot of times it's referred to as brass. But you'll also find it sometimes where it looks like it's chrome. If it looks chrome, it's actually a brass case, but it has a nickel, real thin nickel plating on it, which makes it extremely durable, less likely to corrode. Sometimes you'll find the case made out of aluminum, or sometimes you'll find the case made out of steel. The aluminum and steel cases are not reloadable because they're not as malleable, not as flexible of a material as the brass, so they're pretty much disposable. And that's what keeps the cost down also. When you purchase aluminum or steel, they're generally cheaper. In the very back end of the case, there's a little round piece in the center, which is called the primer. And that's what makes it fire. Once the firing puts a dent in that primer spark travels through a little hole in the very back of the case called the flash hole. That spark then hits the powder, which burns at a high rate of speed, creating a tremendous amount of pressure, which pushes the bullet out of the barrel, and out of the case and down the barrel. The primer, this is a fired primer here, sits inside of there, and on this cartridge this is called a center fire, because the primer is in the center of the case. On a 22 or a 22 Magnum, you can see there's no primer in the middle. These are rim fire. The priming agent is in the rim of the cartridge, and the firing pin hits the rim, which makes it ignite the powder and shoot that bullet down the barrel. The bullets, there's a lot of different styles of bullets. We'll run through them here real quick. This one here is called a wad cutter. This is a loaded case, and this is what the bullet looks like that's in it. It looks like it's not even loaded from the side, but if you look in the end, there is a bullet in it. This wad cutter is an extremely comfortable bullet to shoot. It's designed for target shooting. It has a hollow base. It's all hollow in the back end, so you can run it at a real low velocity, and it still expands to fill the rifling. And having that hollow base makes it very lightweight, so that it doesn't have a lot of recoil, a lot of kick. The very flat across the front, when it hits the paper, it cuts a perfect hole in the paper as if the hole were cut with a wad cutter. That's where it gets its name. So it's easy to see for target shooting, easy for scoring. It works great in a revolver. It doesn't work with a hoop in a semi-automatic because it's so flat across the front. It just won't feed. So they came up with what's called the semi-wad cutter. And this one is more tapered on the front so that it'll feed to the semi-automatic, but it still has that sharp shoulder on it, so it cuts a nice hole in the paper for scoring and for seeing your bullet holes. And then we have what's called the lead round nose, which is a lead bullet the same color as a number 2 pencil, just made out of lead. Inexpensive, good target loads. The biggest problem with the lead bullets are that they do have a tendency to lead up your gun, and your gun gets dirty pretty quick. So there's a couple answers to that. There's the full metal jacket, which is a lead core with a full metal jacket stretched over the outside. That copper jacketing is much cleaner. The gun's not near as dirty when you're done. It corrodes a lot slower, lasts a lot longer. A little more expensive, but I think the time that you save at the cleaning bench is well worth it. Another one that has come along real good in recent years is these colored bullets. And they're not colored just for prettiness. They are actually a lead bullet with a powder coat on the outside. So you can shoot quite a lot and it doesn't lead up your barrel, but it's still very inexpensive to shoot.
Huh.
Good way to go.
Do we carry those here in the store, Chad?
Yes, we do. We have them in all multiple calibers.
Okay.
Yep, just the bullets.
Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to zoom back out. My phone's not cooperating. Okay, go ahead, Chad.
Then we have a jacketed hollow point, which has an actual hollow cavity at the end of the bullet. And these are designed so when you shoot them, when they hit the target, the front of the bullet gets bigger, and it looks like a mushroom from the side then. By getting bigger on the front end, it delivers all of its energy very fast. This is probably what we would want to use for home protection or for concealed carry. It has the most stopping power, and we can get into different manufacturers later. And then we have what's called a jacketed soft point. This is a big, heavy, burly bullet. It's designed for penetration. It does get a little bit bigger on the front when it hits the target, but it penetrates very deep. This is probably something you would want to use if you're going to go boar hunting or hiking in bear country where you wanted to have a handgun for personal defense.
If you guys have any questions, go ahead, type them up there so we can respond. Right now I don't see anything.
When you purchase a box of ammunition, it'll say, and have a number on it, it'll say grains following it. And a lot of folks think that's how many grains of powder there are in the cartridge. That is actually the weight of the projectile, measured in grains. To get an idea of what grains are, in 1 pound, there are 7,000 grains. So if we took a bag of 100 grain bullets, and we had 70 of them in there, put them on the scale, we would have 1 pound. So it takes quite a lot to make a pound. I think that pretty well covers it. Next time we can hit on maybe getting the correct ammunition for your gun, plus P ammunition. Choosing a caliber for yourself, that's a big one that everybody has a real difficult time with, deciding what caliber is going to work best for them, what they're going to be most comfortable with.
Right.
Kind of walk you through how to do that. And probably we'll talk about muzzle flash and ammunition quality.
Okay. And I guess things for target shooting, hunting, and self-defense, different types of bullets for that. I know we have a lot of female viewers that tend to come on here because they feel more comfortable watching and learning versus coming in and asking the questions. So no question is ever a stupid question. Please feel free to ask anything. Trust me, I'm sure I have Chad laughing all the time about some of my silly questions. So again, that is it for today. If nobody has any questions, throw them out there real quick if you want to get it answered. If not, throw it up on Facebook and we'll see about having Chad answer it. Other than that, just take a peek at the beginning of the video and look at some of that tent sale stuff that I had out there. Still quite a bit of ammunition. The 9mm is almost gone, but I'm going to swing around again and show you a little bit of the shop after our remodel. Oh, hi everybody. Say hi, Mark.
Hi.
You know, one thing that I did want to talk about real quick is our free Fridays. Bear with me as I swing over here. Chad is one of our veterans, as well as Mark. I come from a law enforcement family, and something that's important to us here is Free Fridays, where we offer free gun range time for any military, law enforcement, and first responders, right?
Responders, yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, we appreciate everybody's service, no matter what community type service that you do, and we thank Chad and Mark for their service to us. Again, it means a lot to us, and we just hope to become a lot more active in the community when it comes to all of you, and we hope that you come in and visit us and take advantage of the shooting range. So tell everybody, bye, Chad.
Bye.